Ethan was used to the quiet hum of the research station. Nestled on the edge of the Vera system, the station floated like a lone sentinel above a swirling blue planet. He liked the calm, the hum of machinery, the blinking lights, the occasional hiss of recycled air. It all felt predictable. Life here was orderly. Science was orderly. But today, something unpredictable was about to arrive. The station's doors hissed open, and a figure appeared in the main lab. Ethan looked up from the console where he was analyzing quantum resonance data. The newcomer was not quite what he expected. She was taller than most humans, with smooth, iridescent skin that shimmered under the lab lights, and large, expressive eyes that seemed to reflect a galaxy within them. She moved with a curious mix of elegance and nervous energy. "Hello," she said, her voice musical yet tinged with uncertainty. "I'm Lena. I was assigned to this station for the teleportation research program." Ethan raised an eyebrow. Teleportation research had always been theoretical on this station. No one had ever tested it with a living being before. "Teleportation, huh?" he said slowly. "That's ambitious." Lena gave a small, nervous smile. "I can do it," she said. "At least, I think I can. My species has this ability, but controlling it precisely is difficult." Ethan nodded, keeping a professional smile. "Well, you'll have all the support you need. I'm Ethan, lead scientist here. We'll start with simple tests." They spent the morning setting up measurement devices and safety protocols. Ethan explained every sensor, every field detector, and every containment procedure. Lena listened attentively, occasionally tilting her head in curiosity or nodding thoughtfully. Despite her nervousness, there was an undeniable spark in her eyes, a mix of excitement and anticipation. "Ready?" Ethan asked as he activated the first test chamber. Lena took a deep breath. "Ready." Ethan gave a thumbs up and moved to the control console. "Remember, just a short teleport. Don't try anything extreme." Lena nodded and focused. Her body shimmered faintly, like sunlight refracting on water. Then, in an instant, she vanished. Ethan exhaled slowly, expecting her to appear at the other end of the chamber. Instead, there was a sudden flash, a crackling sound, and a blur of motion. Before Ethan could react, Lena reappeared. Not where she was supposed to be, but directly in front of him, falling forward. Ethan barely had time to move. Lena's momentum carried her straight onto him. He toppled backward, taking both of them to the floor with a loud crash. Equipment rattled, alarms blared softly, and for a moment the lab was a jumble of blinking lights and stunned silence. Lena's large eyes went wide with horror. I'm sorry," she exclaimed, scrambling to her feet and brushing herself off. Her hands shook slightly and a soft glowing residue lingered in the air from her teleportation. Ethan groaned, pushing himself up. You just appeared on top of me," he said, blinking at her. "That's not exactly the test plan." Lena's ears flushed a faint pinkish hue, a reaction unique to her species when embarrassed. It's my fault. I misjudged the distance. I didn't mean to." Ethan waved his hand. "No harm done. But we need to figure out why this happened. Teleportation shouldn't be this unpredictable." For the next few hours, they attempted controlled experiments. Every time Lena teleported, she ended up somewhere close to Ethan, whether she intended to or not. At first, it was comical. She would vanish and then suddenly, she would materialize on his desk or in the corner of his lab coat, or even gently landing on his shoulder. Each time, Ethan had to scramble to maintain control over sensitive equipment. "Why do you always land near me?" Ethan asked during a break. He leaned against a console, arms crossed, trying not to sound too frustrated, though the amusement in his voice was hard to hide. Lena frowned, tilting her head as if considering the question. "I don't know. It's like some kind of instinct. I feel drawn to your presence when I teleport." Ethan's brow furrowed. "Drawn to me? That's not scientific." "Maybe not in the way you understand," Lena said softly. "My kind's teleportation is influenced by energy patterns. Perhaps Your energy pattern is stable, comfortable. It attracts me even when I don't try. Ethan frowned, intrigued despite himself. So you're saying I'm like a human anchor? Lena nodded slowly. Maybe. I've never felt it before. It's unusual. Despite the chaos, Ethan found himself curious. Here was an alien with abilities beyond human comprehension, and somehow he was at the center of it. He couldn't explain why, but the thought both excited and unnerved him. As the day progressed, their experiments became a mix of chaos and discovery. Lena's teleportation was still unpredictable, but Ethan noticed something fascinating. When she teleported near him, she seemed to stabilize, her energy flowing more smoothly than when she tried to teleport elsewhere. It was as if his presence allowed her to control her power, even slightly. By evening, the lab was a mess of scattered equipment, glowing residues, and a few singed cables. Yet both of them were laughing. Lena's embarrassment faded into amusement as she described the strange sensation she felt when teleporting, and Ethan shared his observations about the quantum resonance between them. You know, Ethan said, leaning back in his chair, if your teleportation keeps landing on me, we might need to build some kind of safety protocol. Lena chuckled softly. Or maybe you just need to accept your role as my anchor. Ethan smiled, shaking his head. I never thought I'd spend a day being a teleportation landing pad. Night fell over the station, painting the metallic halls in shades of soft blue from the distant planet below. Ethan sat by the observation window, looking out at the swirling clouds and thinking about the day. He had spent his life studying the universe, solving equations, predicting outcomes, but nothing could have prepared him for a being like Lena, whose abilities defied all expectations. Meanwhile, Lena sat across from him, quietly studying her own data. There was something comforting about being near him, even though it made her powers unpredictable. She had never felt such a connection before. It was strange, unexplainable, and yet, it felt right. Just as Ethan was about to turn off his console and call it a night, there was a soft shimmer in the corner of the room. Lena appeared again, this time perfectly balanced on the floor a few feet from him, but with that same faint glow around her body. See, she said, pointing at her energy readings. Even when I try to teleport elsewhere, I end up near you. My energy. It's drawn to yours. Ethan examined the readings. The data was clear. Her teleportation was gravitating toward him with a force he couldn't explain. He scratched his head. This is unprecedented, he murmured. I've never seen teleportation behave like this. It's almost like your body recognizes me as a safe point. Lena nodded. Safe? Yes. Comfortable? Yes, but why? I don't know. Ethan paused. He didn't know either. But one thing was clear. This bond, whatever it was, had potential, not just for understanding her abilities, but for advancing teleportation science as a whole. Over the next few days, Ethan and Lena settled into an unusual routine. Every experiment began with a small warning. Lena would teleport, Ethan would brace, and they would laugh as she inevitably landed near him. The rest of the station crew watched with a mix of astonishment and amusement, calling them the teleportation duo. Despite the chaos, Ethan began to feel a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. Lena's abilities were remarkable, yes, but more than that, the way she instinctively trusted him, the way they worked together hinted at a future full of discovery, danger, and perhaps friendship, unlike any other. By the end of the week, Ethan had begun compiling a detailed report. He hypothesized that Lena's teleportation was not entirely random, but influenced by external energy patterns, particularly his own. The implications were staggering. If humans could understand and harness this connection, teleportation technology could reach new heights. Lena, for her part, was learning to control her powers slowly, but her instinct to land near Ethan remained strong. She could suppress it momentarily, but the moment she felt stress or excitement, she would blink out of existence and reappear by him, every single time. Ethan looked at her across the lab, shaking his head with a smile. "This is going to be interesting," he said softly. "Very interesting indeed." Lena's eyes sparkled. "Yes, very interesting." And so began their unusual partnership. A human scientist and an alien with uncontrollable teleportation powers, bound together by forces neither fully understood, yet both eager to explore. Little did they know that this strange connection would soon lead them into dangers far beyond the station, across the stars, and into adventures neither could have imagined. For now, though, the lab was quiet. Ethan leaned back. Lena hummed softly, as she analyzed her own energy patterns, and the stars outside glimmered, waiting for the first sparks of a story that would change both their lives forever. The days after Lena's arrival passed in a blur of experiments, laughter, and occasional chaos. Ethan found himself constantly on alert, never knowing when Lena's teleportation might send her tumbling into his workspace. Yet he couldn't deny that it made life far more interesting. He had spent years in isolation, focused solely on data, equations, and theoretical research. Now the lab was alive in ways he had never imagined. One morning, Ethan was reviewing the previous day's teleportation readings when Lena appeared suddenly beside him. Again. She blinked out of nowhere, materializing perfectly on the floor next to his chair. But the faint glow of her energy still shimmered around her. "I tried," she said sheepishly, "to teleport somewhere else. But I ended up here again." Ethan rubbed his temples, a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "You're relentless, you know that? Every time you teleport, you find me. I'm starting to feel like your anchor, whether I like it or not." Lena's lips quirked into a small smile. "Maybe that's not a bad thing. You make it easier to control." Ethan leaned back in his chair, studying her closely. "It's fascinating. There's definitely a connection between your quantum field and mine. I've never seen anything like it. It's not random." "Do you think it's just my powers?" Lena asked, frowning slightly. "Or is it something else?" Ethan hesitated. "It could be more than that. Maybe your body senses stability. Maybe my presence provides some kind of anchor point. It's unusual but entirely possible." She nodded slowly, then turned back to her own console. "It's strange, but I like it. It feels safe." Ethan's curiosity grew. He had spent his life studying the universe, understanding patterns, and solving equations. But nothing had ever been this unpredictable. And yet Lena's power was not only dangerous, it was also extraordinary. He realized that the unpredictability could be a blessing as much as a challenge. Over the next few days, they began designing more structured tests. They marked safe zones, created holographic barriers, and installed sensors that could record Lena's teleportation energy with extreme precision. But no matter how carefully they planned, Lena always found a way to end up near Ethan. Sometimes she landed behind him, sometimes beside him, and once, she even materialized gently on his shoulder. Each time Ethan could feel a faint pulse of energy that made his hair stand on end, almost like a subtle vibration running through his body. It was confusing, exhilarating, and sometimes alarming. But Ethan refused to see it as a hindrance. Instead, he began noting the patterns. There was a rhythm to Lena's teleportation, subtle cues in her movement and her focus that determined where she would appear, and every pattern pointed back to him. One afternoon, Ethan and Lena were testing long-range teleportation. Lena concentrated harder than ever before. The air shimmered around her as she prepared to blink across the lab. Ethan held his breath, wondering if this time she might succeed without landing near him. With a sudden flash, she disappeared. Ethan exhaled, expecting her to reappear at the opposite end of the lab. He glanced around, and then, with a soft pop, Lena materialized directly on top of him again. Ethan groaned loudly. "Again? I'm starting to think you can't stay away from me." Lena scrambled to her feet, brushing herself off and laughing nervously. "I tried. I really did. I don't know why I keep ending up here." Ethan shook his head, still smiling despite the minor bruises he was beginning to collect. "It's not just luck. There's a connection. Your teleportation is drawn to my energy like a magnet." "Magnet," Lena repeated thoughtfully. "That makes sense. I feel something pulling me. Even when I don't want it." Ethan frowned. "Even when you don't want it?" "Yes," she said softly. "It's strange. I've never felt this before. It's comforting. I feel safe when I appear near you. Ethan's pulse quickened slightly. He had never expected her words to affect him so much. It wasn't just scientific curiosity anymore, there was something personal, something unspoken growing between them. Their experiments continued, each day blending science with unpredictability, each day testing Lena's limits and Ethan's patience. And then one evening the station received an unexpected alert. A nearby research outpost on the planet below had reported unusual energy readings. Something was interfering with their communication, and the readings matched no known natural phenomenon. Ethan and Lena rushed to the control center. Screens flickered with readings showing spikes of energy that pulsed in strange, irregular intervals. "What is that?" Lena asked, her brow furrowed as she analyzed the data. Ethan's eyes narrowed. "I don't know, but it's powerful. And it's moving toward the station." Suddenly a warning siren blared. The station shook slightly, and red lights flashed across the walls. Ethan and Lena exchanged a quick glance, the seriousness of the situation sinking in. "It's coming closer," Ethan said. "We need to prepare," Lena nodded. "I can help. Maybe I can teleport us to safety if things get worse." Ethan hesitated. "It's risky. Your teleportation is still unpredictable and the energy readings are unusual. We might not have control." Lena looked at him, determination shining in her eyes. "I can try. We'll work together." Ethan studied her for a moment, then nodded. "All right, let's do it." The next few hours were a whirlwind of preparation. Ethan coordinated the station's defenses while Lena practiced controlled teleportation maneuvers, trying to stabilize her connection to him. Every time she blinked, Ethan could feel the subtle pulse of energy that marked their bond. It was both unnerving and exhilarating, a reminder that they were stronger together. Finally, the moment came. A shadowy, unknown vessel emerged from the planet's atmosphere, massive and ominous. It emitted energy pulses that interfered with the station's systems. The crew scrambled, trying to activate shields and defensive protocols, but the vessel's energy was overwhelming. "Ethan!" Lena shouted. "We have to move." Ethan grabbed a console, frantically inputting commands to stabilize the station's systems. "I know, but we can't just teleport randomly." "We need a plan." Lena nodded, focusing with all her strength. The air around her shimmered and a soft, glowing light spread across the room. Ethan felt the familiar pull, the almost magnetic force that drew her toward him. "Hold on," she shouted. In an instant she blinked. Ethan felt the familiar rush of energy, then a sudden weight as she materialized. Right beside him as always, but this time with perfect balance. She had managed to stabilize her teleportation using him as an anchor. Ethan gritted his teeth, clutching the console as she prepared for another jump. "All right, let's try this. We'll teleport to the observation deck and guide the crew from there." Lena nodded, taking a deep breath. With a flash of light, she teleported again, and Ethan followed, relying on the faint connection that seemed to guide him. They arrived on the observation deck just as the alien vessel fired another energy pulse, sending vibrations through the station. From their vantage point, they could see the massive craft hovering above the planet, its surface glowing with strange, iridescent energy. Ethan's mind raced. "We need to understand that energy. If we can't defend the station, we have to find a way to disrupt it." Lena nodded, her eyes scanning the data. "I can teleport near it. Maybe gather more readings." Ethan shook his head. "It's too dangerous. You might get trapped in the energy field." "I have to try," she said firmly. "If I can understand it, we might save everyone." Ethan hesitated, then nodded. "All right, but I'll be your anchor. Stay connected to me. Don't let go." Lena focused, her body shimmering with energy. She blinked out and Ethan felt the familiar pull, guiding her safely through the volatile energy currents. The crew watched in awe as readings streamed in, showing that Lena's teleportation could withstand the alien energy, something no human technology could do. After several tense minutes, Lena returned, landing safely beside Ethan once again. Both of them were breathing heavily, exhilarated and exhausted at the same time. Ethan shook his head, smiling despite the stress. "I can't believe that worked. You're amazing." Lena's cheeks flushed slightly. "We worked together." "Your presence. It helped me." Ethan felt a strange warmth. There was no denying it now. Their bond was real, powerful, and unexplainable. Not just scientifically, but emotionally as well. As the alien vessel finally retreated, the station slowly returned to normal. The crew cheered, grateful for the duo who had faced danger head-on. Ethan and Lena stood side by side, watching the stars, knowing that this was only the beginning. Their connection, unpredictable as it was, had proven to be their greatest strength. And while chaos and adventure awaited them in the future, Ethan couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. With Lena by his side, he knew they could face anything the galaxy threw at them, and Lena too felt it. Every time she teleported, she landed near him. Every time she felt safe, guided, and connected. It was strange, unexplainable, and powerful, and she wouldn't have it any other way. The next morning, the station was alive with activity. Scientists, engineers, and crew members scurried through the corridors, repairing minor damage and reinforcing the defenses after the alien vessel's sudden attack. Ethan moved quickly between consoles, checking the systems, while Lena floated nearby, still shimmering faintly from the strain of her previous teleportation. "Are you sure you're okay?" Ethan asked, watching her carefully. Lena gave a small smile. "I'm fine. A little tired, that's all. But we did it, didn't we?" Ethan nodded, feeling a mix of relief and pride. "We did. But the readings from that vessel, they're unlike anything we've seen before. I need to analyze them more." Lena tilted her head. "Can I help?" Ethan hesitated, then smiled. "Of course. You're the only one who can teleport near the energy safely. I need every bit of data we can get." They moved to a quieter section of the station, where a bank of sensors and monitors had been set up. Ethan began feeding in the energy readings from the alien vessel, while Lena hovered above the consoles, her eyes glowing faintly as she absorbed the information. "It's strange," Lena murmured. "The energy is pulsing in a pattern, but it's not natural. It feels intelligent." Ethan frowned, analyzing the graphs and data streams. "Intelligent? You mean like controlled?" "Yes," Lena said softly. "Someone is directing it. Not random interference, but deliberate." Ethan's mind raced. If the energy was controlled, it meant the alien vessel wasn't just exploring. It was scouting, perhaps even preparing to attack. "We need to warn the station," he said. "If it comes back, we have to be ready." Lena nodded. "And I can help. I can teleport through the corridors, check the systems, and alert the crew instantly." Ethan hesitated. "It's risky. If you're detected while teleporting, the alien vessel might sense you too." Lena gave a determined look. "Then we take the risk. I won't let anyone get hurt." Ethan sighed, realizing arguing would do no good. "All right, but stay close to me. Use me as your anchor." Throughout the day, Lena became a blur of motion, teleporting from one section of the station to another, checking systems, repairing minor damage, and guiding crew members to safety during simulated emergency drills. Each time she reappeared near Ethan, her energy pulsing in sync with his presence. It was exhausting for her, but the bond between them grew stronger with each jump. By evening, Ethan and Lena sat together in the observation deck, reviewing the day's data. Lena's glow had dimmed slightly, a sign that her energy was low, but her eyes were bright with excitement. "You're incredible," Ethan said. "I've never seen anyone control their powers like that, even partially. And you did it while keeping the crew safe." Lena shrugged, a faint blush on her cheeks. "I couldn't have done it without you. Every time I teleport, I feel guided, safe." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in years. "You really do rely on me." "Yes," she said softly. "But it's not a weakness. It's a connection. Something I didn't expect, but it feels right." Ethan nodded, unsure how to respond. There was something unspoken between them. A silent understanding that went beyond science. He focused instead on the data. "Tomorrow we'll analyze the energy readings further. I think there's more we can learn about its source and intentions." That night, as the station settled into quiet, an alert suddenly blared. Red lights flashed across the corridors. Ethan and Lena rushed to the control center, where the main screen showed the alien vessel returning. This time it wasn't alone. Smaller ships, fast and sleek, surrounded the main craft, moving with precision and coordination. "They're attacking," Ethan said, tension tightening his chest. "Prepare the defenses." Lena's eyes narrowed. "I can teleport into key points and help guide the crew." "But it's dangerous. The smaller ships will be fast." Ethan didn't hesitate. "Do it, we'll coordinate. I'll be your anchor." The next few hours were a whirlwind of action. Lena blinked across the station, appearing suddenly in corridors, rooms, and control centers, directing crew members, activating emergency protocols, and even helping engineer repairs. Every time she reappeared near Ethan, her energy flowing in sync with his, as if they were two parts of the same system. Ethan coordinated from the observation deck, analyzing the vessel's movements and guiding Lena with precise instructions. Despite the chaos, they moved with a rhythm that was almost seamless. Her teleportation was still unpredictable in normal conditions, but under stress and with Ethan's anchor, she could navigate even the most dangerous situations. At one point, a smaller alien ship breached the outer hull of the station, sending alarms blaring and shaking the entire structure. Lena teleported instantly, appearing beside the breach, her hands glowing as she stabilized the damage long enough for Ethan to send repair drones. She blinked back to him, landing safely beside him, her chest heaving from exertion. "You're amazing," Ethan said, his voice filled with awe. "I can't believe how fast you adapt under pressure." Lena shook her head, smiling faintly. "I couldn't do it without you. Every jump, I feel you guiding me. It's the only way I can manage." As the battle raged, Ethan and Lena realized the aliens were testing the station, probing for weaknesses. Each wave of smaller ships was precise, calculated, as if the attackers were learning from every move. Ethan quickly adapted, using Lena's teleportation to counter their strategies. She became both scout and shield, her presence giving him the edge to predict enemy patterns. Hours passed, and the alien forces began to retreat, recognizing that the station was more prepared than they anticipated. The crew erupted in cheers, exhausted but victorious. Ethan and Lena stood together in the observation deck, looking out at the stars, their faces glowing with relief. "You did it," Ethan said quietly. "We did it," Lena smiled, her energy dimming slightly as she caught her breath. "Yes, together." Ethan studied her for a moment, realizing that their bond had grown far beyond mere science. It was trust, understanding, and something deeper, something that neither could fully explain but both felt. As the station returned to normal, Ethan began analyzing the battle data. Lena's teleportation had been the key factor in their success, proving that humans and aliens could work together in ways that no one had anticipated. Her instinctive connection to him had saved countless lives, and it was clear that this bond was more than coincidence. The night was quiet once more, and Ethan found himself sitting near Lena in the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the station, a reminder of the vast unknown waiting to be explored. "You know," Ethan said softly, "I think we're going to discover something incredible together. Not just about teleportation, but about what we can do as a team." Lena's eyes sparkled. "I think so too, and I don't mind that I keep landing near you. It feels right." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth that went beyond science or duty. "Neither do I." For now, the station was safe, the crew was alive, and their bond had proven stronger than anyone could have imagined. But Ethan knew this was only the beginning. Across the stars, dangers and mysteries awaited, and with Lena's powers and their connection, he was ready to face them all. Together, they were a team like no other, human and alien, science and instinct, chaos and control. And as Lena's teleportation continued to defy expectations, Ethan realized that the universe was about to become far more interesting than he had ever imagined. The stars outside the station seemed to twinkle with promise. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new adventures, and new tests of trust and courage. And through it all, Ethan and Lena would face them together, guided by a bond that was as unpredictable as it was unbreakable. The days after the attack were tense but filled with purpose. The crew worked tirelessly to repair the station's systems while Ethan and Lena focused on understanding the alien vessel's energy. Every reading, every pulse, every anomaly became a clue. Ethan studied the data with precision, while Lena practiced controlled teleportation, trying to push her limits without risking the station or herself. "You're getting better," Ethan said one morning as he watched her hover mid-air, glowing faintly as she prepared for another jump. "Each time you teleport, your energy stabilizes faster." Lena smiled softly. "It's easier with you around." "Your energy? It helps guide me." Ethan nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. "It's more than just guidance. You're learning to control something most species couldn't even attempt, and you're doing it instinctively with me as an anchor." Lena's eyes widened. Instinctively, yes, Ethan replied. Every time you blink near me, it's like your body recognizes the safest point in the room. Your energy resonates with mine. It's remarkable. She paused, tilting her head as she considered his words. I've never felt this way with anyone. It's comforting, but also strange. I feel drawn to you even when I try to avoid it. Ethan studied her closely. There was a vulnerability in her voice, a mix of honesty and trust. He realized their connection went beyond science. It was emotional, almost instinctive. A bond neither fully understood but both depended on. Their routine was disrupted suddenly by another alert. The station's sensors detected a new energy signature approaching, a pattern similar to the last attack but faster and more erratic. Ethan's heart raced. They're back, he said quietly. And they're bringing reinforcements. Lena's eyes narrowed. We'll handle it. I can teleport through the corridors, guide the crew, and help stabilize critical systems. But we'll need a strategy, Ethan nodded. We'll work together. You teleport, I coordinate. We'll stay connected, and we'll minimize risks. The station hummed with activity as crew members prepared for the approaching threat. Ethan and Lena moved through the corridors, checking defenses and ensuring that everyone knew their roles. Each time Lena blinked to another location, she returned near Ethan, her energy pulsing in sync with his. The connection between them was no longer subtle. It was a force they could rely on. As the alien ships arrived, the station shook under the first wave of energy pulses. Smaller ships darted around the main vessel, firing concentrated energy beams that threatened the station's shields. Lena teleported instantly, appearing beside crew members, helping them repair damaged consoles and guiding them to safer positions. Ethan stayed on the observation deck, analyzing the enemy patterns and sending instructions to Lena in real time. Each of her jumps was precise, each movement critical. Her teleportation was still unpredictable in general, but with Ethan as her anchor, she could navigate even the most dangerous areas. At one point, a group of alien ships breached the station's outer defense grid. Lena blinked into the control room, landing beside Ethan. We need to reinforce the shield generators. If they break, the station will be destroyed. Ethan's fingers flew across the console. I'll redirect power to the generators. Huey, stay close to me. We'll coordinate our jumps. With a soft glow, Lena teleported to the generators, appearing just as a blast struck the hull. She stabilized the systems long enough for Ethan to reroute the energy. Then she blinked back beside him, landing safely, her chest heaving from exertion. You're incredible, Ethan said, his voice filled with awe. Every time you teleport, you're saving lives. Lena shook her head, smiling faintly. We're saving lives together. The battle continued for hours, each wave of alien ships more precise and calculated than the last. Ethan and Lena moved in perfect rhythm, their bond allowing them to anticipate each other's actions. When Lena teleported, she always returned near Ethan, and he adjusted strategies based on her position. They became a seamless unit, human intuition combined with alien ability. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the alien ships began to retreat. The station's shields held, the crew remained safe, and the main vessel disappeared into the void. Ethan and Lena stood together in the observation deck, watching the stars. Their bodies still tingled from the rush of energy, and their breathing was heavy from the exertion. You did it, Ethan said quietly. We did it. Lena's glow dimmed slightly as she caught her breath. Yes, and together. I couldn't have done it without you. Every jump, your energy guided me. It was the only way I could manage. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. He had spent years studying the universe, but he had never experienced a connection like this. It was more than science. It was trust, understanding, and something deeper. An unspoken bond that had grown stronger with every jump, every battle, every shared moment. In the days that followed, Ethan and Lena continued to analyze the alien energy patterns. They discovered that the pulses were not random. They were part of a network, a vast system controlled by an unknown intelligence. The implications were staggering. If they could understand it, they might prevent future attacks and even harness the energy for exploration and defense. Lena practiced controlled teleportation daily, refining her ability to jump precisely, using Ethan's presence as an anchor. Each day her movements became smoother, her control stronger. And each day, Ethan marveled at her resilience, determination, and courage. One evening, while reviewing data in the observation deck, Lena teleported beside him unexpectedly. "I think I figured out something," she said softly. "My power. It's not just drawn to your energy. It's reacting to something in your presence, something stable, constant. You're my anchor. But more than that, you're part of the pattern." Ethan's eyes widened. "Part of the pattern?" "Yes," Lena said. "When I teleport, I feel a pull toward you. But it's more than energy. It's connection. Your presence allows me to control what I cannot manage alone, and it's stronger than I expected." Ethan nodded slowly, trying to understand. "So our connection, it's not just luck. It's something real, something measurable." Lena smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the stars outside. "Yes, and it's comforting. I feel safe when I'm near you." Ethan felt a strange warmth, a sense of belonging he hadn't realized he was missing. "Neither do I," he admitted quietly. Their conversation was interrupted by another alert. Sensors detected a smaller alien probe approaching the station, moving quickly through the void. Ethan's fingers flew across the console. "We have to stop it before it reaches the station. Lena, can you teleport close enough to intercept?" Lena nodded, focusing her energy. "I'll try. Stay close. I need you as my anchor." With a soft shimmer, she blinked into the corridor outside the docking bay. Ethan monitored her position, guiding her movements. The probe fired pulses at her, but she teleported through each one, moving with precision and grace. Finally, she landed beside the probe, her energy forming a protective field around it. With a controlled push of her power, she redirected the probe harmlessly into space. Ethan exhaled in relief. "You did it again." Lena smiled, landing safely beside him once more. "We did it. Together." As the station settled into calm, Ethan and Lena realized that their bond had become more than a scientific anomaly. It was a partnership built on trust, instinct, and mutual reliance. Their connection allowed them to face dangers that no one else could manage, to save lives, and to explore abilities that defied imagination. The stars outside the observation window seemed to sparkle with promise. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new missions, and new mysteries. But Ethan knew one thing for certain. With Lena by his side, guided by their connection, they could face anything the galaxy threw at them. And Lena, too, felt it. Every time she teleported, she landed near him. Every time she felt guided, safe, and connected. It was strange, unexplainable, and powerful, and she would not have it any other way. For now, the station was secure, the crew was safe, and their bond had proven stronger than any obstacle. Yet Ethan knew the universe was vast, full of unknown threats and adventures. And with Lena's teleportation abilities and their unique connection, they were ready to face it all, together, unstoppable, and united by a bond that was as mysterious as it was unbreakable. The station was quiet, almost too quiet. After the last wave of alien attacks, the crew had been working around the clock to repair systems, reinforce defenses, and analyze the energy patterns from the vessels. Ethan and Lena sat together in the observation deck, reviewing the latest readings. The air between them was calm, but both felt the tension of an unspoken warning, the sense that something bigger was coming. "Do you think they're done?" Lena asked, her voice soft, almost uncertain. Ethan shook his head. "I don't know. The energy readings suggest the main vessel is out there somewhere, but it's not finished. Whatever is controlling it, they're testing us, learning about our defenses, and gathering information." Lena's glow pulsed faintly. "Then we need to be ready. I can teleport to any critical point in the station almost instantly. But this time, I feel like it's going to be more dangerous than before." Ethan studied her, concern and admiration mixing in his gaze. "We'll face it together, Lena. You're stronger than you realize, and with us working as a team, I think we can handle anything." She smiled faintly, and for a moment the usual tension of experiments and battles faded. Their connection had grown stronger with every jump, every fight, every shared moment. Lena's teleportation had always brought her near Ethan, almost instinctively, and he had come to rely on her energy as much as she relied on his presence. But that night, as the station hummed with quiet activity, a new alert rang out. The main vessel had returned, larger and more menacing than ever. Its energy pulsed across the void, stronger, faster, and more concentrated. Smaller attack ships darted around it like swarming insects, firing coordinated bursts at the station. Ethan's fingers flew across the console. This isn't just an attack. They're coming for the station directly. We need to act fast. Lena's eyes narrowed. I can teleport to the outer hull, stabilize it, and redirect energy pulses. But I'll need your guidance. Every jump will be dangerous, Ethan nodded. I'll be your anchor. We'll coordinate. Stay connected, and we can do this. The crew scrambled as the alien ships fired concentrated beams, causing the station to shudder violently. Lena teleported instantly, appearing on the outer hull, her energy shimmering brightly. The first wave of beams struck, and she absorbed the impact with a protective pulse, stabilizing the station's hull long enough for Ethan to reroute power to the shields. Every jump she made, she returned near Ethan, her energy resonating with his presence. It was exhausting, but her control was precise. Together, they moved through the station like a single entity, her teleportation allowing her to strike, stabilize and protect, and Ethan directing the flow of power, guiding the crew, and analyzing enemy movements. As the battle continued, Ethan noticed a pattern in the alien attacks. The smaller ships moved in formations designed to test weak points in the station's shields, and the main vessel's energy pulses were synchronized, almost like a signal. He realized the aliens were not just attacking, they were probing, seeking a way to disable the station completely. We need to disrupt their signal, Ethan said urgently. If we can interfere with the energy flow, we can neutralize the main vessel. Lena nodded, her glow intensifying. I can teleport into the core control node of the station. If I can channel my energy through the system, maybe we can send a counterpulse. Ethan hesitated. It's risky. The energy could overload you, or worse, draw the vessel's attention directly to you. I can do it, she said firmly. I trust you to guide me. With a deep breath, Lena blinked to the station's core control node. Ethan felt the pull of her energy, a familiar yet intense connection that kept her safe. As she positioned herself at the control node, the alien vessel fired a massive energy pulse. Lena absorbed it, her body glowing brighter than ever, stabilizing the energy and feeding it into the station's systems. Ethan coordinated from the observation deck, rerouting power, analyzing patterns, and sending precise instructions to Lena. The station systems hummed with energy, resonating with Lena's power. Slowly they began to push back against the alien signal. The main vessel's energy pulses faltered, then weakened, and finally, a blinding surge of counter-energy shot out from the station, striking the alien vessel directly. There was a moment of silence, and then the alien vessel shuddered violently before retreating into the void. The smaller ships followed, abandoning their attack. The station was safe, the crew cheered, and Lena collapsed beside Ethan, her energy finally dimming to normal levels. Ethan helped her to a chair, relief flooding his mind. You did it, Lena. You saved the station. She smiled faintly, exhausted but proud. We did it together, your guidance, your presence. It made this possible. Ethan nodded, realizing how true her words were. Their connection had been more than an anchor. It had been the key to controlling her teleportation, coordinating their efforts, and ultimately saving everyone. In the following days, the crew repaired the remaining damage, and Ethan and Lena continued to study the alien energy patterns. They discovered that the pulses were part of a complex network, controlled by an intelligence far beyond their understanding. But with Lena's abilities and their bond, they had proven that humanity could stand against even the most advanced threats. Lena practiced her teleportation daily, refining her control and strength. Ethan guided her, offering stability and insight, and every jump brought them closer, deepening their bond. The station became a place of learning, discovery, and preparation for future encounters. One evening, as they reviewed the latest energy readings, Lena blinked beside Ethan unexpectedly. I think I understand now, she said softly. My teleportation isn't just drawn to you. It's responding to something in your presence, your stability, your energy, your focus. You're part of the pattern that allows me to control what I cannot manage alone. Ethan studied her, realizing the depth of their connection. So it's not just luck or instinct. It's a true bond, something measurable, and something real. Lena's eyes sparkled, reflecting the stars outside the observation window. Yes, and it's comforting. I feel safe when I'm near you. Neither do I, Ethan admitted quietly. Their bond was no longer just a tool for survival. It had become a source of strength, understanding, and trust. They had faced the unknown, defied expectations, and saved lives together. And in doing so, they had discovered something even more extraordinary. The connection between them was unbreakable. The stars outside the station stretched endlessly, a reminder of the vast unknown waiting to be explored. Ethan and Lena sat together side by side, knowing that the universe held challenges, dangers, and mysteries they had yet to encounter. But they were ready. With Lena's teleportation and their bond, they could face anything, guided by trust, courage, and connection. As the station hummed quietly, Ethan reached out, taking Lena's hand gently. She looked at him, her glow faint but steady, a reflection of the bond they shared. "No matter what comes next," Ethan said softly, "we'll face it together. We'll protect the station, the crew, and each other." Lena nodded, smiling. "Together. Always." And in that moment, as stars shimmered beyond the observation windows and the station stood strong against the void, Ethan and Lena knew that they had discovered something far greater than science, far greater than power. They had discovered trust, partnership, and the extraordinary potential of a bond that could overcome any obstacle. The universe was vast, full of unknown dangers and endless adventures, but as long as they had each other, there was nothing they could not face. Lena's teleportation, once unpredictable and uncontrollable, had become a symbol of their unity, a force that thrived on connection, trust, and courage. And as they sat together watching the stars, they knew one truth above all. No matter how unpredictable the universe could be, they would always find their way back to each other. Together they were unstoppable. Together they were a force the galaxy had never seen before, and together they were ready for whatever came next.